Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to DDB's End Zone Empire with your hosts, Dave, Dustin, and Brian, your source for the latest and greatest fantasy football info, wagering, injury reports, picks of the week, and more.
That's right, folks. We are here at the AB's bar. I'm your host, Dave. This is my main man, Brian, right here.
What's up?
And this is my other man, Travis.
What's going on, fellers?
Dustin couldn't be here with us tonight, but Travis is he's kind of filling in for him. But Travis is also, Travis. He's been around the block.
He's a substitute teacher.
But anyway, we're going to get into this is the divisional round of the playoffs. We are going to find out who's going to the Super Bowl. We're all really excited about it. But before we get into that, I have something I want to say.
What's up?
What you got for us?
There's a couple people around here in studio
Oh, couple sounds like a direct attack.
have egg on their face. There's a couple people in here that ought to be embarrassed about the picks that they were talking about last week, and they said, "Oh, we're going to find out. We're going to talk about this next week because the Bills are going to beat the Chiefs, and the Bucks are going to beat the Lions." And you know what? It didn't happen. It didn't happen, folks. And I'm telling you, they're not going to tell you this, but they are extremely embarrassed. They are really embarrassed, and they feel bad about it.
Let me get a little bit. I just want to say, the Bills game was right. It was right there. They should have made the kick.
I don't think I said anything of that nature.
And yeah, we're gonna blame it all on Dustin because he ain't here.
Yeah, I don't think I said anything of that nature. Dave, I'm going to call you a liar right now. We're going to have to get an instant replay.
Oh, well, we can do that.
Don't throw it.
We can do that.
Okay. If I've got to be a man about it. Yeah, I was wrong. I was really wrong, but I'm sorry, and I hope I don't do it again.
And so folks, all the teams that played last week played great. I mean, it was a great weekend of football, and I enjoyed every game. The only team that I don't think really played exceptional were the Houston Texans, and I understand. But I told you last week, it's a 22-year-old quarterback. I know he's good, and I know he's reads the defense well. He shows a lot of promise. He's strong arm, but he's still 22. 22-year-old quarterbacks don't win playoff games.
Well, I think against the Baltimore Ravens, though, they did play one good half of football. And it's to show you
they did. They did.
And it's to show you what they got years to come.
Oh, yeah. The future is bright for Houston. It's no disrespect. I'm just saying, I really enjoyed watching it, and I think Houston, everybody down there in Texas, look, it ain't no disrespect. I like your squad. They didn't bring it. And y'all know that. I ain't telling you nothing you don't know.
All them Texans fans are happy because they made it a lot further. They probably didn't think they were making the playoffs. So,
yeah.
Hey.
And the Bills, they just couldn't seem to stop Kansas City. I mean, they were potent. I mean, they were scoring almost every drive. It was crazy. It was a good game, though. I mean, the Bills, they hung in, and I mean that was probably the game of the weekend, really. I mean,
I would call that. I'd almost put Green Bay the game of the week because they were leading most of the game.
Yeah, that was a good man. They were all good, really.
But there was like 7 lead changes in the Chiefs Bills. So I mean, those two games were the games to watch, definitely.
Yeah, and Texas just really didn't have an answer for Lamar Jackson, who had 4 touchdowns. He had 100 yards rushing on the ground. I mean, the guy just. They knows how to win a football game. People hate on him because stats or this or that or whatever. But the only stat that really matters is wins and losses.
W's.
Lamar's got them.
Well, I can't wait till we get into the Ravens.
I
got a lot to add. More than Lamar.
But also the Bucks, they couldn't stop the potent offense of Detroit. It was a good game, and I think they just fell short. And I like Baker Mayfield. I believe they just signed him to a 3-year deal or extension or whatever. And that's good for them because they weren't going to get one of those quarterbacks in the draft anyway.
No,
they're not going to get anybody better than him right now in this moment. Todd Bowles knows how to run a defense. Future is bright for the Bucks.
100%, because I look at it like this: he's only a 28-year-old quarterback. So, I mean, he's going to give them quite a few decent years, and that's kind of a young team that's built around him, other than Mike Evans.
Yeah.
Trade him.
Well, he's kind
Trade
of
him while
like,
you can.
He, Mayfield's been kind of like the redheaded stepchild, though. He's kind of been tossed around, and abused.
That's what I'm saying. I think he found
it's
his-
nice to see him get a place. Well, give him 3 years.
Yeah.
Whether he makes it through that 3 years or not, I would like to see him do it. He was a surprise.
A
this
lot
year.
of quarterbacks are about the system.
I wasn't a believer because I was the guy that was telling people when he came in that with the Browns, I'm like, Mayfield is just a sober Johnny Manziel. He's not going to make it either. But I was wrong. I mean, he knows how to win. He is up and down. Consistency, I think, is his biggest deal. But he'll work through that. He's still a young man. He's got a lot of years ahead of him.
In the beginning of the year, he was no different than a Jordan Love. They were, to me, the same. Not the same quarterback, obviously, but they were on the same level.
Well,
I was proven wrong by both of those.
Yeah,
guys
I mean,
this
if you
year,
kind of break
so.
that down too, I mean, a lot of people's been saying they had the worst run offense in the league. So I mean, if you had a couple linemen to that, protect Baker a little bit better, and get the running game going a lot sooner, I think you'll see a more consistent Baker Mayfield.
Boys,
Okay.
I just want to say that this is a podcast for forgiveness. So
I forgive you guys.
This is podcast.
It's
is built
okay that
around
they lost.
It's built around forgiveness and accepting fault and mistakes,
Well,
and we all make them.
Everybody does.
So I just want to say that Baker
Yeah.
Mayfield slept on him this year.
It is kind of
Yeah.
different than last week's. We're not ranting and raving. We're kind of like
Yeah. So
good games.
Same
So-
with Jordan Love.
Good
I
games.
slept on him too.
yeah. Well, I think between last week and this past week in the playoff games, they were completely different. I think 2 weeks ago was kind of I wasn't the best playoff weekend. I mean, really, when it comes down to it, and the games. But this past weekend, man, they were all good. They were all good. I enjoyed it, every minute of it. And the sad part is that we are down to the final four, and then the final two. And then football season's over. That is the worst part of it. The wives are happy,
Oh,
but we're not. But we're not.
They're ecstatic.
Ooh, preach.
But so let's go ahead and jump into these games, Brian.
What you got?
Do you want to do you want to do some fantasy lineups at the end of the show again,
What like as far as
like a DraftKings type of lineup, or
we might. It depends. Let's see where we go with it.
okay?
Because
All right.
I
yeah,
mean,
that sounds
being
good.
being only Monday right now, I honestly don't have one.
Yeah,
prepared.
and that is the thing, folks. It's Monday. We had to switch up our times this week due to circumstances out of our control. But here we do. We adjust. We're okay. We're good. It's Monday. We still know what's coming. We know what's coming. So anyway,
Ravens win the Super Bowl.
we're going to jump into these games. I don't know if this is right. Look it up. Is the Chiefs Ravens game? Is that the first game on
Yeah,
Sunday?
yeah,
okay.
it's at 3:00.
Okay, so let's jump into the Chiefs and Ravens game, and this is game in Baltimore. Baltimore is -3.5. And before we break it down, we're gonna check in with not the football mom, but Travis again. Yo, my man's, and then he's gonna tell you about all these injuries right quick.
Yeah, so with the Chiefs, looks like Kadarius Toney hip. He's been plagued with that all year long. He's also been plagued with not having a great set of hands all year long. Maybe he needs to heal those a little bit. But he's going to play. So the Chiefs should be good on that front. And it looks like the Ravens side of the ball there is 0 injuries.
Okay,
Wow.
all besides for the Mark Andrews. But
Yeah,
we
I
all
think
know
they
that
said
they're
that-
saving him for the Super Bowl.
I heard today on the radio. I know that doesn't mean a whole lot, but I heard that Mark Andrews was going to play. I'm also when we do our research, it looks like he's not going to play. So all I can tell you, folks, is watch the injury report. Just pay close attention to it, and even if you're doing the weekly lineups, even if he does play, I think we all still like Isaiah Likely in the tight end spot in your weekly lineup over at Mark Andrews.
Yes, we do.
So anyway, let's get into it. Brian, tell me about this game.
All right, I think it all breaks down to one thing, and that is that the Baltimore Ravens, yes, Lamar Jackson had 100 yards last week on 11 carries and 1 touchdown, but as a team, 42 carries for 229 yards. that is maintaining and monopolizing the clock.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the formula to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Them being at home, you look at the passing of Lamar Jackson, too, 16 for 22, 152, 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, he can do it both ways. The defense is there. As far as betting-wise, I probably wouldn't take many of his wideouts, but the running game's there. And I'm really trying to break down and find something good about the Chiefs on the other side. I mean, Mahomes did. He had a similar game to Lamar, but he don't add that running factor in. He has a couple decent runs.
Oh,
but
yeah. Mahomes can move, yeah.
Yeah, but, I mean, he's not going to give you 100 yards on the ground, which, I mean, I'm looking at the numbers, too, of their rushing was 24 for 146 and a touchdown. But that wasn't against Baltimore's defense.
Right.
The Bills were down quite a few defensive players. And did Kelsey wake up? 6 for 5, 75 yards, 2 touchdowns. Is this just playoff Kelsey?
Big game guys, when the big lights come on and it's big time, it's go time, they will show
Are
up.
you sure it wasn't his brother up there just dancing with that belly out?
Hey,
I mean,
you know what? I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, the only thing I could look at was how small that beer looked in his hand.
yeah.
I mean, it looked like one of those little mini cans.
It was a shot glass.
But to honestly tell you the truth, though, looking at this game, this might be one of the first games that Jason actually got to watch his brother playing because he's normally right there on the NFC side. He ain't got time to fly back and forth.
Right.
So, I mean, Big Bro was up in the stands. He had his mom. He had his old lady. Old Tay-Tay,
Tay-Tay was there, yeah.
I just can't believe the nerve of a professional athlete to act like that in the stands, taking his shirt off, making a mockery of the sport and his name and his family.
Well, did you see him in the
This
parking lot?
guy over here.
Did you see
This guy over
Did you see him
here.
in the parking lot? He was taking bottles and everything, and I mean,
No,
dude,
I didn't
he
see
was
that.
he was the ultimate fan.
You know, that's just not the proper way to act. You know, here in society, we believe that you should act proper, and that was just out of line. And I don't believe in those kinds of things.
Well, I tell you what, I think he done announced his retirement, right?
Yeah.
So he don't play for the NFL no more. He's
Oh.
going wild, dude.
Well,
Like,
you
let
know,
it happen.
It's still just setting a bad example for the children.
It's about the kids,
Honestly,
man.
yeah,
It's about
trick
the kids.
love
Honestly,
the kids, okay?
I think the funniest part of it was when they kept showing Tay-Tay and Mahomes' old lady and the mama. You got Big Brother back here shirtless. All you see is hair everywhere. It was just, it was funny.
I would rather talk about the brother than Tay-Tay.
I'll be
I'm so
honest.
sick of hearing about Tay-Tay.
I can't wait.
I think I'm going to go crazy.
I love it. I love it. I know Kelsey loves it too because his jersey sales went up like 200%.
I'm so sick of hearing about, I mean.
She's the most popular woman on the planet.
Well, but
what?
She just went on, had a tour that
Says who?
grossed her $1 billion.
Okay.
They set up T-shirt shops before her shows for like 3 days beforehand, and there's a line.
Okay, so you're a fan now, Dave?
No,
Well,
they talk about this.
Well, it
I hear it in
sounds
the
like
news. I hear it in the news cycle.
She can be the most. She could sell out the most whatever you want. She is not on my radar. I don't want her to be on my radar.
but I tell you what though,
You're not a short bangs kind of girl, are you?
No,
this may actually be the best part of this game coming up because you know she's going to be at this next game.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
we're
know
still
she's gonna
talking
be in the
about her?
stands.
Oh,
No.
my bad.
But my prediction of this game,
Give it to
Ravens are going to blow them out, 41-13 Ravens.
Oh.
And I can't wait to see her face in the stands.
I can't wait to get her off the TV.
That's what's going to happen.
Okay.
But I see a complete just meltdown of the Chiefs. Ravens ain't going to be able to handle the defense. I think one of the biggest pickups the Ravens had all year was
Ravens
Clowney.
ain't going to be able to handle the defense? Or
No,
KC?
KC.
Okay,
All right.
okay.
But I think one of the biggest pickups the Ravens had was Clowney coming off that edge. He's really came into himself. He sees that Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, he's growing
And
as a boy.
I just think, dude, completely, Ravens are going to destroy them.
Well, Brian, I agree. I agree with you somewhat.
Oh,
I do think the Ravens will win this game,
okay.
but I don't. I have it as a low scoring game. Like I kind of like the under here. I think this is two defenses going to clash, but also there's two titan of quarterbacks there, and you know Mahomes doesn't make mistakes. He'll throw it out of bounds before he throws an interception, and Lamar has really tightened up his turnover game. So I don't really see a lot of turnover. I see a lot of punts,
Yeah.
I see a running ball. I mean, I think this has the making of a 17-24, a 21-24 type of game. Maybe 23-24 or something.
Both defenses have a tendency to end up in the backfield, and I think that's going to contribute to the low-scoring game that you're talking about.
Yeah. Now, Travis, check this out. Check this out. Kansas City's playing very efficient right now, but the Ravens are too. The Ravens have 6 double-digit wins over playoff teams this year. 6. 14 teams in the playoffs. They have 6 double-digit wins. They got one of them last week against the Texans. This team is rolling. Mahomes, though, on the other hand, Mahomes has had 10 touchdowns and 0 picks in his last 5 playoff games. That is that's unbelievable. I mean, that's efficient. He doesn't make mistakes, and that I really think is the avenue here for the Chiefs to win is playing a mistake-free game on offense. The Chiefs last week averaged 7 yards a play, and they had 5 third downs the whole game last week. So, and super efficient, but also Mark Andrews is, like I said, he might be back, he might not. I don't know that really affects the way I feel about this game.
Hey, Mama's report said no injuries. That means no injuries.
I feel like this is probably going to be a low-scoring game.
What do you got on it?
A clash of 2 Titans. It's hard to doubt Lamar's ability. I mean, the Ravens and their stiff defense. I mean, but also Mahomes doesn't make a lot of mistakes, and I think that's the pathway here for the Chiefs to win. The Ravens, on the other hand, they need to win by the I like to call it the Mark Coleman. Give them the Mark Coleman. Well, what's that? The ground and pound. Give them the ground and pound. 200 and some whatever yards last week on the ground. I mean, listen, the Ravens lead the league in rushing yards by a wide margin. A wide margin. Look it up. I'm not going to tell you the numbers right now because for some reason, didn't put that in my notes. But
Rookie.
I just know for a fact. I think I looked it up a week ago. I don't remember the numbers exactly, but they're ahead by a good amount. Also the Ravens need to play a little bit of that mistake-free football too, because if Mahomes isn't going to turn it over, then that means if you turn it over, it's a lot bigger deal. It's magnified, because it's the name of the game is possessions. You give Mahomes possessions, he's going to score.
I think with that running attack, though, it's going to keep him on the sidelines. And I think we talked before the show, Lamar's last interception was back week 15 against the Jags. That was a long time ago.
Well, Mahomes does have a knack for being kind of flat and then just turning it on at the right moment.
Yeah.
So what's your score on this? What do you got?
It is hard for me to bet against Patrick Mahomes, but I'm telling you, folks, lock it in. The Ravens will win this game, and I believe you can. I don't like the 3.5. The 3 is a little bit better. The 3.5, but that also tells you what Vegas thinks. They think that's a heavy. They think they're a heavy favorite here. No. So I have the Ravens minus 3.5. You can eat the points. Lock it in. It's going to be a close game, low-scoring game, but I think that 3.5. They're probably going to end up winning by 4.
Let me. I want to throw in one more stat. The Kansas City Chiefs have only eclipsed 30 points one time this season, which was back in Week 12. The Baltimore Ravens have they've done it 9 times.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the difference in this game is that the Chiefs are not putting up enough offense. They're kicking way too much. They're stalling in the red zone, and I think Lamar don't stall.
No,
that's what it boils down to.
That is, you're right, and I think that's how the Ravens win as well.
And I think that's kind of where I came up with the 41-13. Mm-hmm. I see a lot of stalling, then I see a lot of mistakes.
You think it's going to be that high score?
Oh, I think it's going to be.
See,
Lamar
crazy.
I look at it a bit different. I think it's going to be low scoring too. I'm with Dave on this one. I'm calling it 12-14. And you're asking yourself, I know the listeners are like, how the hell are they going to score 12? There's going to be a
4
safety.
field goals.
There's going to be a safety. And a field goal and a touchdown.
Is Lamar going to give up a safety? Give him the ball back at the end?
Lamar, no, they're going to win. 12-14. Ravens on top, 12-14.
Well, okay.
Hey, if you want to take a gamble, throw a safety in on your bets this week, and let's see what happens.
I bet there's some nice odds on that.
I
yeah,
guarantee it.
and also, I would look for if you're going. I don't know that they have it exactly on FanDuel, but I know DraftKings there is a section where you can bet interceptions. Neither one of these guys have made an interception in the playoffs. Mahomes has been almost perfect, so I'm saying take the under because it's a half. It's a half interception. So if they throw a pick, you win. If you go the over, if you go under and they don't throw one, you win. So
I think it's a really safe bet because, to tell you the truth, it's kind of a different Chiefs team this year. We're seeing a lot more running than we are passing.
yeah.
So they are kind of two running teams, really.
And one thing about the Chiefs, there's a lot of teams in the NFL that don't have great corners or really, really good corners because corners are just hard to find. There's just not
Chiefs
a lot
got a
of them. There's
couple.
more wide receivers
Yeah.
coming in that are good than corners, and they're just outnumbered.
Are you talking about
And the
Snead
Chiefs
and
have two
McDuffie?
good corners, and I think that could be an issue for the Ravens because I think Flowers will get open because he's so fast. I think they will find a way. But the other guys, I don't know that Lamar. I mean, not Lamar, but
Bateman.
no, what's the guy from
Beckham.
New York? Odell Beckham. I don't.
Bro had one target, one catch for 12 yards last week.
Yeah, I just don't know that he can separate.
Beckham's just on the team, guys,
Well,
at this point.
I mean, I know cornerbacks are an integral part of the game, but it doesn't really matter when you have Ed Reed in the middle.
Oh, yeah, true. But
Well, yeah, but Ed Reed's not playing.
I think
What?
I think it's kind of what I'm taking off this is he's telling us that Isaiah Likely is a good bet this week.
No, and that's what I was saying
Hold on.
earlier.
Hold on.
I think likely is still a good play in your fantasy lineups this week.
Hold on. You mean did Ed Reed's not playing anymore? He retired?
A little while ago.
While
a little
ago?
while.
Okay. My bad, guys.
It's all right. It's all right, Trey.
Love Ed Reed.
Oh, he's a man. He's a man. He ain't no Dawkins, but
I just
he's
text
all right.
Dustin, told him to hurry up and get over here.
You think he's gonna make it?
No, I'm just saying Travis is, he's taking them crazy pills again.
Oh, there we go.
Taking those crazy pills again.
He just lied to both of us, and
Travis just
Yeah.
brought back up
Yeah.
a lot of Baltimore memories.
hey, that was a good squad. I love that.
Okay,
Ravens
so
squad.
listen, let's reel it in a little bit. The Ravens, lock it in, folks. It is a lock. The Ravens will win this game. I don't feel real great about the points. I think you can take them, but
I like him.
if you're like me, in my bet, I may just take the money line here. Last week, I knew the Ravens would win. I didn't think they were going to cover all the way, and it's really a Ravens money line bet last week would have been the play. Even though with the 9.5 they were given last week, the juice on that wouldn't have been very much. But this game, I think you'd be okay. I think you're okay here because you're trying to build a parlay, and the first part of building that parlay is picking winners. You gotta have some winners because if you don't hit them, it doesn't matter what the parlay was or how much you were gonna win or whatever. But anyway, we are going to move right into the night game on Sunday, which is the Lions are going to the 49ers. And this is the Niners are at home, and they're -6.5, and we're going to get into it. But before we do, let's check in with Travis and hear about all these injuries.
All right. So looks like on the 49ers side, we have Deebo Samuels is questionable. Left shoulder. He left the first half of the game. It's not known if he's going to suit up or not. The team did well without him, so they may let him rest for a chance at the Super Bowl. It's kind of up in the air. Not sure, but I would assume a game like this, he's going to end up in there.
Okay.
I would assume. I mean, do you leave Deebo Samuel out? I don't think so.
I think you dress him on the sidelines just in case.
Exactly.
Just in case.
Well, now, what's the over/under in this game?
We're at 51 right now.
Ooh.
So,
Man, that's a high score. Both of these games are just, gosh, these are some good games. This Clash of the Titans here. Brian, I know it's a 6.5 favorite for the Niners. Do you like that number, or what do you have?
I don't. I think it should be more. It should be closer. I would almost call this like an even. I'm looking though. If Debo don't play, Jennings did step in for him last week, 6 for 5, 61 yards. But as long as the Niners have their number one weapon, which is McCaffrey, posting 17 carries, almost 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, adding in 7 receptions for 30. As long as they have him, they're in the game. Brandon Ayuk, he didn't have that big of a game, but we all saw Kittle's. Kittle's was right there. But I'm looking at the Detroit side of the ball. The numbers did not jump off the page last week. Maybe for the wideouts, their norm, Sam Laporta.
Yeah.
Even with the banged up knee, 11 targets, 9 catches, 65 yards. A lot of those are on third downs. He's very reliable. Then you got St. Brown, 14 targets. He's been just racking them in. 8 catches, 77 touchdown. Then combined, if your running backs combined, it can get you over 100 yards. That's a decent game.
Yeah.
So Gibbs, Montgomery over 100 yards. The only thing that scares me about the Lions in their 2 playoff games, Baker Mayfield, 149, 3 touchdowns. Stafford, 167, 2 touchdowns. They're very subject to their
secondaries.
Their secondary is very
suspect,
suspect.
For sure.
So that's the only thing that scares me. But with the running game they have, I think they can control the ball. And I actually have the Detroit Lions edging out the Niners 34-31. And I think they will cover those points.
Okay. Yeah, man, that game, it's hard to make these games are kind of hard. It's hard to pick here. I'm not going to lie to you, but also, Brian, I think that 6.5 is a little bit like last week. It's kind of disrespectful.
It is, yeah.
I think it should be more along 3 or 3.5. But also, Brian, I believe that Detroit can match the 49ers almost player for player. Detroit's loaded, and they're peaking right now.
Yeah.
Hutchinson's, I think he will affect Brock Purdy in the passing game. And if Debo, like you said, if Debo doesn't play, I think Detroit might win this game. I mean, the Niners, they have shown that they can struggle when they're trailing. And I think that's part of it. I think Detroit has to get up early.
Brock Purdy has to play with the lead. That is his number one thing.
And the 49ers are banged up. And also, the thing with Debo is kind of like the oil to the engine. When Debo's in there, that offense is dangerous. McCaffrey's great. Don't get me wrong, but there's the difference between the McCaffrey that played last week and the McCaffrey that's going to be playing this week, because Lions, they don't give up the run game like that. I mean,
No.
they have a stiff run defense, and when they do pass it, Hutchins, as he gets after them. It really. The 49ers, without Debo, their offense just kind of goes off the tracks a little bit. They're not as potent. I would be willing to say that if the 49ers offense without Debo Samuels would probably be 7 points less on a total. I mean, I think he's good for 6 or 7 points, and that's a lot for a player. A lot of players only worth a point or two. Lamar Jackson might be worth 10,
Well, I tell you what, you sitting here talking about this, it does make a lot of sense with the Detroit Lions and their defensive line, giving up only 55 yards to White last week, and then Kyron Williams the week before in the Rams, easily putting up 100-yard games, held him to 61 yards, and held him out of the end zone. So I think you're onto something.
Yeah, and I think if they can kind of, you're not going to cover up McCaffrey the whole game and just stop him to nothing.
No.
I mean, he's Ed McCaffrey's boy. That's Mr. McCaffrey's boy. Okay, but I think that it's a lot easier just to focus on him than it is to focus him, Debo Samuels, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. I mean, they have weapons.
Yeah.
So,
but I think that is the way, though. You're really onto something. I'm looking at this as to, okay, the way to beat the Niners is to make Purdy beat you, right?
Right.
Take away McCaffrey. Let's make, especially if Debo's going to be out. Let's make Ayuk. Let's make Kittles. Let's make all of them. Let's make Brock Purdy make those throws.
Yeah.
And
honestly,
you know what? You just made me more of a believer of my pick. Go ahead.
Dan
keep going.
Campbell, I think he's a good fit in Detroit, but I really like their offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson. I'm afraid, though, that after this season, Ben Johnson, somebody's going to take him. I mean, somebody's going to give him a head coaching job somewhere, and maybe Atlanta. Who knows? But either way, I feel like this is, folks, one of those games where you're going to be sitting at home on Sunday night and you're going to be like, I can't believe I just got to witness that. That was amazing. And I'm telling you, lock it in, folks. The Detroit Lions will upset the 49ers. You hit money line on that bet. That will build your parlay. If you go money line with the Ravens, you're going to lose some juice. You go money line with the Lions, you're going to get it right back, folks. I think that's the play here. Brian, tell me I'm right or wrong.
I'm totally agreeing with you on it. I got it 34-31. I'm taking Detroit. What do you got, Trev?
Well, I would like to see Detroit take this.
Yeah.
I think the Niners are going to end up winning it, though. They've got too many weapons.
Yeah.
McCaffrey. Now, don't be wrong. You do want to get Purdy in passing situations. If you shut down McCaffrey, it could spell disaster for the Niners. But I think McCaffrey is just too good for that to happen.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'll tell you what, though. I'm going with the hungriest team in the NFL. And right now, Detroit Lions, fan base, team, coaches, owners, everything. They are the hungriest team in the NFL.
Did you see that crowd last week?
Now,
The chants and
I'm pulling for the
Oh,
Lions. I'm
dude.
pulling for the Lions, and I tell you what else I'm pulling for. Is I'm pulling for a one-day contract for Barry Sanders so he can catch him a Super Bowl ring.
Oh, dude, that would be amazing.
It's a pipe dream.
You
but
better bring in Calvin too.
I'm pulling for it. Calvin, no. I mean, Calvin's nice and all, but we're talking about Barry Sanders,
you
the
can't.
best running back to ever touch the field.
Can we get into?
What? I
We
sound
gon-
like Tasmanian Devil over
So-
there.
We're gonna talk about this off air.
Okay, so Detroit,
Yeah.
they're on the road. Their other games were at home.
Yeah.
They do have struggles on the road sometimes at times.
Yeah.
The way they've been playing, they're playing just as efficient as the Chiefs are. Really, this is a team that if they can keep the mistakes to a minimum, the Niners are banged up. Fred Warner, maybe I don't know if he plays. Does he play?
A little banged up right now, but I mean, this is
Even
a
if
big
he
game.
plays, he's not
gotta
100. Nobody's 100. I know it's football, okay? But Fred Warner is so dynamite. He's so amazing. He's such a run stopper. He snuffs out the short passes. I mean, this guy's everywhere he needs to be. And I think that if he's hurt, especially in the lower leg area, that might affect where he can get to and where he might be. So I think that has a little bit to do with it. The Niners defense, they don't have their secondary can be suspect. The Lions can expose that.
And touching on that, I'm going to switch it up.
Oh, we made a
I'm
believer.
switching it up. The Lions, if I'm going to keep it real, the Lions are going to use that 1-2 combo in the backfield, and they're going to wear down the D-line of the Niners. Like Dave just said.
Best offensive line in the league, Detroit Lions.
And like Dave just said, the Niners secondary can be suspect at times. Jared Goff's looking very nice right now.
Yeah.
And he's got Amon-Ra St. Brown, Josh Reynolds, and then who's the third? Is it Khalid?
It's
Khalil,
Williams. It's Williams right now. Williams is actually back. He's healthy.
Oh, is he back? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But either way.
And dude, a deep ball threat.
So,
But his
I
number
mean-
one target, you didn't talk about his number one.
and Laporta.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So I mean, they have a very sound offense, and that's I'm switching up. That's what I'm going with.
I want to touch on one thing too. You're talking about
I was skeptical.
how efficient golf has been, and I think we all saw in the regular season he had a lot of fumbles, he had a lot of picks, a lot of bad decisions. If you look at both of these playoff games, no fumbles, no picks. He's making the right calls, he's making the right decisions, making the right.
They're
audibles
peaking at the
line.
right time.
Dude, the Lions are hungry.
I
I'm
still
all
want
over it.
Yeah.
I still want a one-day contract for Barry.
And Brian Travis, this is what it is for me too. matchup wise, I think the Lions can match up with the Niners, but it kind of comes down to I have picked against the Lions to lose week in and week out recently, and they keep proving me wrong. I'm not betting against them anymore. I'm a believer.
Okay, I might have to switch my bet up now because now that he's changed his tune after calling it wrong the last 6 weeks, maybe he's going to be right.
Well, well,
I'm just
listen.
joking. I'm just joking.
That game. I mean, both of these games, folks, are going to be absolutely amazing. I don't know that you could have a better four here, matchup wise.
I mean, honestly, I think we got the best 4 teams.
Yeah.
In the
But
league.
what Cowboys? What about the Cowboys?
We all know about the Cowboys. They choke us.
Yeah.
Choke us.
Yeah. Well, look, it's football. It's a tough game, and I don't know if y'all know it, but quarterbacking, it's hard. It's real hard. So
I used to do that in the backyard football league all the time. It wasn't so hard. It was a rollout pass every time with a quick slant.
Yeah.
So,
touch football.
folks, take the Ravens over the Chiefs money line. Take the Lions money line. They will upset the 49ers for a Ravens Chiefs Super Bowl, and we're going to get into that in a couple weeks, and we can't wait. But this is one of those times where we're just going to kind of fly by the seat of our pants here. We're done with the games for now, but we haven't given you any fantasy advice. And I know some of you guys out there love your weekly lineups. It's playoffs. You got to have something on it. You want to get. I got to have a reason to get in my chair and root extra hard for my team or any team, whatever team, all the teams.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at it. I'm breaking down. I mean, I'm taking. I don't know if I'm as much taking the running backs for the Ravens. I'm definitely taking Lamar, and I think it's a safe bet. You could actually up that. I mean, definitely an anytime touchdown out of Lamar. He's probably going to get your rushing touchdown. And I would almost call it 2 rushing touchdowns. But if you want to play it safe, let's stick with 1. I think Likely's the better wide out there. I think he's good for, 2 or more receptions. Looking on the Chiefs side of the ball, I do think Kelsey is back. I think he's good for an anytime 2 to 3 receptions. I think they're going to kind of keep him in check a little bit. Pacheco is definitely – what do you think of Pacheco? I think Pacheco's
running hard. I mean,
solid.
That guy last week,
volume of carries, he had right under 100 yards and a touchdown, but he runs mean.
Yeah,
dude's mean.
The problem is with Pacheco is there's a guy named Roquan Smith, and then there's another guy named Patrick Queen, and I don't know that there's a better linebacking tandem in the league. Those 2 guys will be in every play. They are all over the field. And that's a big reason why the Ravens, even though they can be suspect in the secondary, several of these teams can be. But their pass rush makes up for it because they get after you, and also they are stingy with the run. I mean, these guys are legitimate bangers. And if I would call them dudes. They just some real dudes.
Dogs. And here's the thing, touching what you're saying. If you can get the quarterback fast enough, doesn't matter how suspect your secondary is. If you can't get a pass off,
That's it.
if you're on your heels the whole game,
if you force that
your
pass.
timing's off. Everything's off. So,
But looking in the Niners game prop bet wise, you're definitely taking McCaffrey. I don't know if you want to put him over 100 yards. I'd probably put him right at about 80 yards. The Detroit defensive line's pretty stout, but McCaffrey's going to get his. You could put him for probably 3 to 4 receptions. I don't know about Brock Purdy. I would probably stick at 1 touchdown with him. Then you can look at the Detroit Lions. I think both running backs, I don't know if they're a safe bet. I would take Gibbs in the receptions.
Yeah.
Just because he is consistent as far as 3 to 4 receptions a game. Laporte has been averaging over double-digit targets in both of these games. Him and St. Brown, they're safe bets. So what all you got?
So Travis, if you were going to build a fantasy lineup this week, give me one player that you really think is going to have who's going to have the best game out of every player in from all 4 of these teams. That's the Chiefs, Ravens, Lions, Niners. who's your standout guy? And you can get. I'm gonna give you a minute to think about it. But
I don't need a minute.
okay, go ahead.
Your big point guy this week is going to be Lamar.
You know, that's what I thought last week, and that's
ground-
why I went with the high price on my quarterback.
His ground game's going to be on point. You know, Hobbs was just predicting possibly 2 touchdowns. That's very possible. I see Lamar this week with his eyes on the prize. There's a lot of people who've been talking down on him, and I feel like he is going to use this year to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
I really do think that, and I hope that as well, because I would love to see my guy get a ring this year. So I'm going to go with Lamar on that. I think he's going to have a beautiful passing day. He may not have so many passing yards. He's going to spend his time mixing it up. He's going to keep the defense on their toes. But he is going to have a good completion percentage.
Right.
And I think he's going to have, overall, he's going to score a lot of points this week.
Yeah, yeah. This game, there's a lot of guys here that really, because Laporta, St. Brown, McCaffrey's probably out as the highest priced guy on DraftKings and FanDuel. But I think I don't know that there's value, and I think you can, with a cheaper price, you can still do well with another running back that's not McCaffrey.
Oh, yeah.
The
Yeah,
problem
yeah.
is if McCaffrey goes off for 3 touchdowns and 80 yards receiving, 75 yards rushing, and, you know.
The answer to that is David Montgomery.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, I've actually.
Jahmyr Gibbs gets a lot of the gets a little bit more of the spotlight, but David Montgomery is one of those guys that when you need him, he shows up, and
Yeah.
he's had several games like that this year.
Well, see, just actually looking at this, I just put together a team. You only got 4 to pick from, so you can put it together fairly quick. And I'm with you on the Lamar Jackson. I did pay the bucks for the big time quarterback, but running back wise, I did take David Montgomery.
Yeah.
And then I had to take a low budget running back, and I took Hill out of Baltimore.
Yeah,
he gets a lot of catches out of the backfield.
He's come on in the last several weeks. I had him in fantasy earlier in the year.
Between
he didn't
him
do
and
nothing.
between him and Gus will get the goal lines, but if you want the receptions coming out of the backfield,
Yeah.
Hill is your guy to go.
He
When
has
have you got
came
your
on.
running backs yet, Dave?
He's came on.
Yeah, I have Gibbs and Pacheco.
Pacheco. Whoa.
And I'm not
He's been sticking
I
with
don't
him
know
all
that
year.
Pacheco is going to do a lot against the Chiefs, but I know if they get in a goal line situation, he's getting it, and he's been running hard. They've been giving the ball a lot lately, so it's more of a volume thing, a touches thing.
Well, what Nick
a
Gibbs is going to
potential.
get the catches too.
Yeah.
So I mean, then looking at wide receivers, I'm very heavy in Detroit with this lineup. I went Josh Reynolds. Reynolds has been really stepping up. He's averaging a touchdown in both of your playoff games this year. Rashee Rice, he's getting all the targets for the Kansas City Chiefs. And then St. Brown, you got to spend the money to get him.
Well, that would
Yeah.
be my next pick.
14 targets
Dave
last week.
asked me who was gonna end up hitting big. I said Lamar. My next one would be Amon-Ra St. Brown.
And then
Or possibly even Reynolds. Possibly
yeah.
Reynolds, because you're keying in on Amon-Ra St. Brown, then you're keying in on Laporta, and well, what do you have left? You got
and
Josh Reynolds.
I think
there.
it kind of goes back to what we're saying, how two of the three picked Detroit. They have so many weapons that
Yeah.
They do.
It's-
That's why I switched my pickup, because it's like, well, they've got a great offensive line, and look at everything they have on offense.
Yeah.
The NFL is more offensive oriented today than it's ever been, so it's kind of silly not to pick them.
And which brings me to my tight end, Laporta. You can actually get him for a cheap price of $5,400. And then when in my flex, I've got George Kittles. So right there, you got probably the 2 best right now, maybe out of these 4 teams, besides Kelsey, but he's kind of on the down.
Hated him.
But then I had to go low as far as my defense. I had enough money to get the Detroit Lions, but that has given me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Detroit Lions in this 8-man lineup.
It feels like we're in a weird alternative universe when we're picking a tight end that is not Travis Kelce.
It is.
I mean, we're talking Sam Laporta here,
I'm
not
talking,
Travis Kelce.
I'm talking like
And we have
Kelce?
not mentioned. I ain't even gonna say her name yet.
no,
Or
let's
not yet. I ain't
let's
gonna say her
not.
name at all.
Let's leave
We
it.
haven't even mentioned that, so it's like,
Well, it's safe to say in fantasy football, Travis Kelce will not be in our first rounds anymore.
No.
So you think he done caught the poontang sickness? Is that what you're
No,
telling me?
he's just
And
he's
the aged
he's
quarterback.
34 or something like that.
34, 35.
Yeah, he's getting older, and
the biggest problem with him though is he doesn't have that downfield threat like he used to have. So
Well,
yeah, but his
his-
girlfriend's like the most
Yeah.
popular girl on the planet.
why do you need to play hard when your girlfriend's a billionaire?
Exactly, but he's got that knack. For
If you like it,
finding-
then you should have put a ring on it.
I think Travis Kelce feels broke when he's standing next to her.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
he
you know,
did. He did.
I
sell
am
his
but a
house.
mere plebe.
That's it. So what all you got over there, Dave?
Okay, so I went with my lineup here. I like it. This I feel like is a solid lineup. There's only one question I really had, and that was Zay Flowers. He was my flex play at the end. That was kind of in the money range I had to work with, but we'll get to that. For my quarterback, I went with Jared Goff. I think if the Lions are going to win this game, they're going to have to be able to expose San Francisco's secondary. I opted not to buy into Lamar for the extra money because Lamar was a lot more expensive than everybody else.
He was.
At the quarterback spot. So I was trying to save money there. I do like the Lamar pick if you rearrange your lineup, but I went with Jared Goff. And my running backs were both let's see, Jahmyr Gibbs and Pacheco. And my three wide receivers, I had Rashee Rice, St. Brown, and I went with Josh Reynolds. It was a budget play there, but I feel like Josh Reynolds is one of those guys that really all you really hope for is if you get 10, you're happy. If you're 15 points, you're ecstatic because that was your budget player. And so I just need something out of Reynolds this week. I also went with Sam Laporta at tight end. I picked up Flowers because of the amount of money I had left. I had to kind of budget it. And then I had my defense was the Detroit Lions. And the reason I did that is because if Debo doesn't play, well, for one, they were the cheapest defense.
Yeah.
For two,
Exactly.
Cheap
Exactly.
bastard.
for two, they if the Lions are going to win, the way they've been playing defense lately, the pass rush has been all. I think they are going to be able to get after Brock Purdy, force him to make mistakes. If the Lions get up on the San Francisco and they're forced to throw the ball, I think they can push Brock Purdy into making mistakes.
Sure do got a purty mouth.
And I think that's the avenue for Detroit to win this game.
I think we're all on the Detroit boat.
Yeah, so
that's a pretty good lineup.
So take it, folks. I hope you win some money this week. Happy hunting to you. If you've made it this far, you're like family to us, and we do appreciate you. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. It really helps us out quite a bit. Leave a comment.
Mm-hmm.
Tell Travis how bad he is or how good he is.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, right?
And a little shout out to the football mom. She's getting surgery on Thursday.
Yep.
Let's hope for a speedy recovery, and let's get her back on this show.
All right.
I reckon Mama gonna be better soon.
That's it.
So, folks, this is DDB's End Zone Empire, and we out of here.
Later.
Family.